Without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage Saba and No ID. Hello? Sir. Good evening, fellas.
What's going on? Good evening.
How you feel?
It's great to be here. Love the album. It's critically acclaimed, got best new music on Pitchfork. It, one of the year's top releases. Easy, my opinion, of course, but I think a lot of people can agree, right? We're here, we're in agreement. So I want to start off by saying you two obviously have an interesting history that maybe people don't know about of how you two met or, came together. But I just want to start with, what are like your first memories of each other?
All right. So in 2018, I'm about to drop Care For Me. So Bucket List is already out. Bucket List kind of doing its thing, right? And I'm about to drop Care For Me. A friend of his kind of reached out to me like, he No ID. He real mysterious, especially in the city of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? He like
That's true.
He
That's
like
true,
one of the people. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know what's to it, but it's like we gotta investigate. We talk on the phone a little bit. He like, hey, come to LA. I just wanna meet you, see what And we have a very interesting introduction to me to his world and then him to my world. And that's our first time meeting when I flew out to LA to use at Capitol at the time to go meet with him at Capitol. And I think for keeping it concise, maybe I'll stop it there and let you go.
He didn't want to sign a deal. And I figured that out quick, and I said, okay, but let's work. We're from Chicago. Something. We'll figure something out.
You said to me in that first meeting on being from Chicago, you was like, people from Chicago, like, I could tell you right now, you could have $1 million and you don't got to even do nothing for it. And because you're from Chicago, you would say, no.
Why does he want to give me $1 million?
Literally.
Maybe there's 3 in his pocket.
Yeah.
That's where we're from.
But don't you have some kind of other connection?
I can say it.
Okay.
So in the 90s.
Not to date you.
in the date.
Or us.
Hey, in the 90s, when the scene was developing, it was another producer, legendary Traxter, and I would say for a certain era of what we were doing, maybe him and Twista and Do or Die and Crucial Conflict and what we were doing with Common was like the crossover into mainstream to make a music scene versus a bubbling community. Because it definitely was a community before us. And his dad worked with Traxter, and I met him, and we would get together and do certain types of music. So then later on, I was like, man, now we got to do something. We got to do something. So it was kind of just written in the cards. And even one day, we all sat down to eat one day, and he's like, come on, man. It's my son. Let's do it. And
Give him $1 million.
Yeah. And I looked at him like, is this Dad talking or is this you and Dad? And he just looked at me like, yeah, man, come on. And I almost personally, this is not him talking, I felt like, man, he had a little extra trust for me at that point. Because I know we know how the music industry is. And everybody, is on guard full time because it's a dog-eat-dog industry. And I think at some point he let the guard down a little. But he was gonna sign somewhere else too.
Uh-oh.
Once upon a time.
I didn't even know that. But it was Chicago was
It's like
red
how bros
hot at the
say,
time.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, right.
And one day, I'm gonna tell it.
Hey, tell away.
Not today, right?
Okay. I mean, it's your call. You know what I'm saying? We on your time. We on,
I mean, we might go rogue. We'll see. We haven't decided yet. But I think that's a really good connection point. And the business didn't work out, but obviously there was something else there. So you guys wanted to work together musically. When did you come up with the idea that you were going to do a project together? Because No ID has worked with so many legendary artists. Not to say you're not legendary, because of course you are, but
I didn't take it that way.
yeah,
Don't
no,
worry.
no, you know where I'm going here. But sometimes you say it, you're like, I didn't mean it like that. But he's produced entire albums for Jay-Z. He's produced entire albums for Common. How did you decide that? Hey, look, I want to sit down with this guy, this younger guy from Chicago, and do a full project.
Me, I think it was innocent. We started with let's do a mixtape together. It wasn't that fleshed out. I think my mind was for years I was just a producer, right? And then at a certain point I became an executive and a manager and a publisher and a this and a that and 15 different hats. And I noticed a lot of time the business was getting in the way of what I want to do. It's music. I don't want to make money off people. I make money off myself. So at some point, it just was like, what's the quickest way to work? And because it was years going by and we weren't working. And I also had in my mind, I was like, man, he's really a good producer too, and nobody's really looking at it. And I was like, I need to get in the room so he can grab some of these codes and use them for himself and just grow into the full version of himself. Because experience in the room computers take away our ability to be with other creatives, because you could just do it yourself. You don't need anybody. You got all kind of things. You got AI, you got programs, you got Splice, But then you don't get to meet the different musicians or talk about the different stories. So I just was like, man, let's just make some music. Let's stop talking about business.
And how difficult was it to get in the groove? I mean, you being a producer as well. So I have met these two gentlemen because I ran a website for a long time called Fake Shore Drive. Not sure if anybody's familiar with it. Some of you probably are. And actually, Sab's first time on Fake Shore Drive was as a producer. So I was introduced to you actually as a producer. So I know sometimes a lot of producers, some like to collaborate, others they don't really jive that well. How was that process like, you two making beats together? Because you produced or co-produced a lot of the tracks on the album, right?
Yeah, I think once I realized that he was okay with me doing that, it was like, oh, well, I could just, a lot of times, especially from the first batch of beats that we had, it's like how he was sequencing his beats. There was a vocal chop in the beginning, and then it was like the beat would play. And it was like a bunch of switch ups and shit that the sample was doing and everything. And now when I'm trying to write a song to it, I'm trying to take certain parts, okay, I can use this as the hook. I can use this. So I'm just arranging it. And it started off as just me doing that. And, it's a lot of, the first pack of beats I got from him, it was so many beats.
Is he emailing you beats?
No, I had one. I had one link. It was a master link.
So he was giving you he gave you the A folder.
I had one folder, and it was cool. It was before I went on the tour we did for my last album, Few Good Things. I had stopped by his studio, and he was just talking about all of these beats. Yeah, man, I made 20 this day.
130 in 30 days.
Right. It was some wild
That's when you were doing your workouts, right? When you were doing 30 beats a month or.
It was actually, I took 8 months off of doing music when my daughter was born. It was the first time I ever took time off. So it was right after I took it was almost like I was exploding. I just had to do a lot of beats.
And I felt like I was very blessed to be just
Hearing what was in there.
person in the room. Like, I'm like, because I'm not going to lie. I didn't believe you. When he told me, he was like, first of all, No ID has 130 beats. He asked me this. He said, how many you want me to send you? 130.
Every last one.
Literally. And he did it. He did it. I didn't believe he would do it, but he did it. And I tried to like start immediately because I also had my little like, I gotta show him he picked the right one. Like, let me get to work right now. So I was trying to make songs before I even left for tour. And even being on tour, I was trying to record. I think I came back from tour with like 14 songs. None of which we actually ended up using.
Right, because it was a mixtape then at first.
Yeah, at first it was a mixtape, and it just, it was like when I got home from that tour, it was like, all right, let's get serious.
So was it just kind of loose ideas when you started, like, on the mixtape? Were they not full songs? Was it more like just freestyling over beats type?
Yes and no. It was just kind of however it was coming to me. A lot of them were just, because how I say the beats, a lot of them had like vocal chops in it. So it was just like, that would happen and then I would rap.
Acts 1.5 came from that batch.
You're right.
So one made it.
Yeah.
Even leaving that as the title, because how he was titling his beats, all of them had, like there was a book and then 1.1. There was an Acts 1.2, Acts 1.3, Acts 1. Like it was hella beats. So I felt like, when we were titling everything, I'm like, I got to just leave that as what, how it came to me.
And so are you, because I can imagine this is what I would do. If he sent me all these beats, I'd be like, I have to rap on all of these so nobody else will take them. I gotta put my stamp on them so these belong to me. Did you have any issue with that? Was anybody trying to come grab those beats after you rapped on them?
I didn't give them to anybody yet. That was the whole point. Every now and then, not every now and then, the longer I go in this business, the more I want to have peace of mind. And the business takes so much away from my art that I have to find ways to make it about art again and not commerce. So that was me going. Actually, that was me going, I'm tired of being a producer for a little while. I want to be a beat maker because the importance that beat makers play in hip hop. I wanted to not produce the beats. I just wanted to do beats the way I did beats when I was 17 years old. So it wasn't, and people was like, it was good, man. Who you gonna give them to? Nobody. I'm just making them. It's just like, why do you work out? Who you gonna show yourself to? It don't matter. I'm just working out. Can I work out? Is that okay? I want to be, So it was definitely, he caught me at a time where I just was like, this is pretty innocent. Just give him all the beats. He asked for them. And it felt pure. It didn't feel like I'm giving them to Jay-Z. I'm giving them. It felt like, yes, this is just where they should be, and I don't have to think about it because we're not in business at that point. We're just talking about music, and that's where I like to keep my spirit lately.
And is that kind of the most carefree you felt working in the past 20 years?
Yes and no. There's different times where I feel different ways, but I think, again, having a daughter changed my perspective on a lot of things because you're watching someone grow from nothing, and you start to think about how am I growing? Did I stop growing? Did I just turn into a business? Am I just up here talking to get some views, or what am I doing with my life besides being successful? And then then it gets a little more philosophical about what you're doing and why you're doing it, because that's what you're gonna leave.
Yeah, and I think like when I first heard the project, I believe it was like spring of 2024. You guys came to Chicago and did a playback. And then it didn't come out for another year or so, and it changed. I don't know how much it changed, but it changed quite a bit. So how much, you had the mixtape, and then you had the first version, and then what you decided on. How much of a tug of war was it between you two trying to figure out what was going to make the album and what didn't? Or was it like, oh, no, that just didn't make it because of a sample or something like that?
I think for the most part, one thing he said to me in a phone call was like, hey, man, the albums happen in spurts. Like, it's not just going to be like we lock in for 2 weeks and we're done now. It's like you might do that 2 weeks and then, you might have to not listen to it for a second, come back to it, see how you feel, see if it's still, I'm trying to think of where he went. Oh, making the best decision that you can make each day on the music. So the songs change as you change. You hear things tomorrow that you didn't hear yesterday. So that's one thing that I think I'm always. It's like it's like trying to solve a riddle or something. Like trying to write a song, and grow with the song, and have all of these experiences before it's even released. Before, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like some of these songs I lived inside of this song, so I know that's where the outlets are in the house. Like, I live there. So that's one thing that I felt like I had, being that I had made albums in the past, I resonated with that, and to hear it put into his words, I'm like, okay, because I sometimes feel like under this like great deal of pressure to finish the music, knowing how much stuff is at a standstill until the music gets finished. It's like, it feels like all of the other business stops until your music is done. So sometimes I'm like thinking with that mind, and hearing those words, it's like, oh, right, that's normal. That's how music's supposed to be made. You're supposed to just make the best decision that you can make that day, and then you keep doing it until you're done. You're done when you decide, really. Like, we could have said we were done then, but because of the way the business was structured and we were still trying to figure out other things, it's like we still had the opportunity to keep working. So I kept making the best decision that I could.
Yeah, and you just kept working.
Literally. We didn't have a lot of like big disagreements where like we were, anything that he said, like, he kind of let me rock. Like, really, he let me rock. When there were things that he felt strongly about and I would change it, he would sit with the new version, and then he would say it in just a very gentle, I don't know, man, I think I think how you came in on the first version of How to Impress God was actually the verse to use. I remember writing 3 different verses to that song. And I'm like, actually, the jewels, the cars, the clothes, the course, I know. He was like, that maybe resonated more just based on the bounce, based on how simple the language is, based on, like, it's like very simple to understand what you're saying. Choices like that are, it's hard to know what you're making as you're making it. Sometimes it's like, that's when it really helps, having somebody who you respect their opinion a lot. So you got to take everything into consideration. And I think ultimately, if I would have been like, no, I think this is the verse, and explain why and gave context for why this is what I'm actually trying to say, I think that would have been fine too. But it's like a lobby. It kind of goes back and forth. Like, this is a change I made. Do you approve or do you disapprove? If he approve, usually it's just like, we good, we keep going. But if it's something that he feels like, I don't know, then we'll live in that I don't know for a second. And maybe it's just like, it was right at first. Maybe go back to the first version. Like,
yeah, we're overthinking this.
Literally.
And, I think that's really cool that, different generations, and you can take the coaching. I notice a lot today, artists don't take the coaching very well, or producing. Like, the fact that you were able to let yourself be produced, like, that's important.
I don't view it as coaching. I view it as like alchemy. It's like things that happen because people are around. It's a little different, because the coach is like, all right, here's the play. This is what we're going to do. This is more like, how do we feel? Because just as much as he's feeding off of me, I'm feeding off his youthful perspective, you know, and it just kind of stirs up, and then you go, all right, what is this? So I really wouldn't it's just semantics. I wouldn't call it coaching. I just call it like throwing paint at a wall and being like, what you think? Too much blue. You think so? I don't know. But the blues turned into green when the yellow hit. It's just that simple from my standpoint, because nobody wants to, I got a thing I call the unk rule.
Okay. I'm excited to hear this. Let's
You
go.
don't want to be the unk. It's the unk and the OG. The OG is very open to the youth, no matter how much they know. And it gets real uncle when the elder goes, man, you know how
Back in our day.
it's like, no, this is not then. That's unk. This is OG gave me some game or a perspective, So that's a thing. If you really look at a lot of things get unky quick, and that's that's what we can't do. We gotta, too many people my age in the room, it gets unk. Just even the fashion will get unk. I see his hat and I'll be like, okay, I got man hats. Now I'm OG.
Yeah. Did you have a strict no unk policy in the studio?
Absolutely. 100%. It's a terrible thing because I've watched so many of my heroes get unctified. And I don't want to do it. I want to stay away from that.
Did you just make unctified up
did.
on the spot? Man.
I did. Freestyle.
That's why you're you. That's impressive. I'm going to start using that one, but I will give you credit. Wow. Okay. So that is some good perspective because we never sat down and talked about this. We hung out at the playback, but we didn't really get too deep into it. But obviously at that time I hadn't seen it all come together. But I really liked, what everything you guys did leading up from the little vignettes of you two in the photo studio, whatever. And if you haven't noticed, No ID has a camera around his neck that every time I see him now he has one. And the cover of the album is a photo that you took.
I didn't.
Who took
I was supposed to.
Who took the photo? Oh, Sab took.
See?
Okay,
I didn't unk it.
So you did not.
If I took it, me and George, that's a little unky. But he took it.
All right, so for those that don't know, George's Music Room is a legendary black-owned music store on the west side of Chicago where Sab grew up. I think everybody that did an in-store back in the day, I'm sure you have done a number of in-stores there. What's the significance of that cover, and why did you choose to go with that?
All right. So I had a cover concept in my head. It wasn't that.
It wasn't unctified?
It was something. It wasn't George's Music Room. It was just a totally different setting. And again, this is like it's, to me, this is like a true collab album. That's why both our names on it. It's not just Saba produced by No ID. It's like, there's a lobby in what this is. And he asked to be involved in the cover. It was one phone call. You might not even remember that. But he was like, yeah, man, let me handle the cover. I'm like, bet. Say less. Where did George come into the play? I think George came into the play when
let me set this bounce pass up. We were in the studio, and I was looking at photos and stuff on the TV, and we got into conversation about photography because that's the thing that's kind of taking me away from trying to make my music so artistic. And I go, all right, it's never going to work. Nobody's going to let me. So I'll just take photos and be an artist. So he goes, I want to shoot too. So we started shooting. And then he wrote Big Picture. That's the name of the song, right?
Big Picture, yeah.
They all do different names with us. Um, so we decided to do a photo shoot cover for the album, and we were going to the Regal at first. I didn't make the trip, but somehow we were talking about legendary places to take photos, and then it kind of came into the me wanting to take the shot was. Then it turned into me and him shooting each other and maybe taking something like that and finding a cover. And at some point, I think George's was one of the stops, and he took a picture with his phone. And I was like, that's it. That's it. Is that accurate, or am I missing something?
It's
Add what I missed.
Okay, so I remember how we landed on George's when you brought up the big picture. Okay, so Big Picture is a song that I had started in 2023. The context, my uncle produced that.
You're right.
So my uncle, producer in Chicago by the name of Tommy Skillfinger, he had stopped making beats for a long time. This was my favorite producer as a child. Like, I was just growing up listening to his beats. So that was a part of how I learned how to use equipment, how I learned. Like, he was kind of like a hard ass when it came to, like we would play him music and he would just turn it off and be like, I tried. Like, he was so honest. He was so honest, bro. Like, he was so honest. And that's how we got good, though. But a part of our first, like, you know, really wanting to do this was, I want to make some music that Tommy gonna like. So Tommy stopped producing, and now he back producing again. So he's starting to send me, ideas. He sent me the Big Picture beat, but it was just the sample. And I'm just like, hey, can I use this? So I use it, I write a song to it, and then I'm like, oh, I know what's gonna fuck Tommy whole world up. I'm like, I'm gonna get No ID to finish the beat. So I had a little drum idea, and I went to him like, hey, can you do, it was some drums that he had already did. I'm like, hey, can you do some similar drums to the drums that you did in this song? And, okay, that's Big Picture. Tommy passes away.
Rest in peace.
Because that's the type of shit that just happens when the story is getting written. It's like, yeah, you want to exist? This is what happens with existence also is the non-existent. And my uncle passed away. It was very sudden. It was very out of the blue, out of nowhere. And we did a memorial concert for him, and George came to the show. And while I was talking to George at the show, he was like, hey, I didn't even know Tommy made music. I gave Tommy his first job. He used to work at the record store. He was so to me, it had took on a whole nother meaning. And then when we had our, at this point, we was doing like a weekly 2-3 times a week on the phone, just figuring out what the game plan for how we were going to do our album was. And when George came up, George's music room rather, he was like, we should shoot it there. And that's how that's how he ended up shooting it, yeah.
Did Tommy ever get to hear the finished version?
Nah. He heard a version. I used this, okay. If you leave here and get on YouTube, there's a On the Radar freestyle I did in 2023. It's low-key a strange time in my life. That was the week of my uncle's funeral. And I had this On the Radar thing already on the calendar. I'm like, should I cancel it? And then it was kind of like, fuck it, let's just go do it. I was with his daughter, and his daughter was like, fuck it, do it. And I'm like, if she feel like this, then YOLO, nigga. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that's the original version On the Radar. It's like different lyrics. Sometimes you gotta just do shit. I shaved my face that day. Sometimes you just wake up and make decisions like that. So I'm gonna look funny On the Radar, but the song will sound cool.
So Make sure you check that out when you leave.
Yeah, make sure you check that out. You know, if for not the song, at very least to see what I would look like without a mustache.
Well, rest in peace to Tommy.
Rest in peace, man.
You know, and to kind of pivot away from that, no pun intended. You like that?
That was good.
I'm trying to keep up with you. How annoying was it when the fans just kept asking you, when's it coming, when's it coming, when's it coming? And how much does that play into, like, people trying to rush the art out now to keep the fans happy? Because it's just a nonstop cycle of people, hey, when's it dropping, when's it dropping, when's it dropping? I mean, you probably couldn't go anywhere without people asking you that.
You know what's funny is sometimes people still ask me that. Sometimes people still ask me, I'm like, damn, like, is this what the internet has come to? Like, I'm like, you're in front of me asking me this? I'm like, it's been 6 months, bro. It's been out for 6 months, bro. But to me, it's not too annoying when a fan is asking, like, I'm like, phew, you know, they're engaged. They want more music. Like, you know, I put out tons of music that nobody wanted. So to have a project with, you know, just that type of excitement around it is, you know, annoying, I guess, in the sense of like,
a good problem.
Yeah, it's like a good, more people who want my art.
Like, I just didn't, maybe I framed that wrong. I just mean more so like, how much pressure does that put on the art now? The constant, and maybe this is because I think.
Yeah, let me jump on.
Okay, go ahead.
The crazy part about what you're saying is it goes like this. When's it coming out? It's out. When's the next one? Yeah. So I go, what difference does it make? Honestly. Let me just as an artist, you want to just do it. You don't want to you kind of just want to do what you want to do, and sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's not. And you know, I age myself. I put my first record out in '92, where our goal was to get people to listen, not even buy, just listen to what we had. And now we're kind of at a point where the conversation about the music is more business and more takes up more time than listening to the music, you know. So it kind of is important that we take some time and make something worth something, because we're in a content era where, again, somebody might watch us talk about this album and enjoy it and laugh and play it more than the record, you know. But it's not a sign of what we do. Because what we do is gonna be here forever, and hopefully we take enough time to make it last. I said I've been in it that long because I know what things made it through the different decades and what things didn't make it through the decades. Mm-hmm. And it's so many things that we got to think about today that's not going to mean another thing ever, you know. But making songs, which why I enjoy making a record with him, making songs that mean something, that address things, that touch people, that's my personal lane of what I want to be involved in. I don't want to, we're going to make money. It's cool. We're going to make money because we can make money talking these days. But who's going to carry the weight of the art? And artists are important in societies. When you lose art and you lose the artist, you lose the voice, you lose the development of the mind, neural pathways, all kind of other extracurricular education. But that's what the answer to your question is. It's for us to take as long as it needs to take. It's a chef. Why are you cooking that long? Because that's how long the meal takes. And if we mess it up, we're going to recook it. It's going to take a little longer. And if it's not the way it tastes, we're going to recook it. And the goal is to get there. to where we satisfied, and hopefully others are satisfied, which sometimes happen and sometimes don't. But that's what we all should want. But I do feel, I told him I was going to go rogue at some point. I just think right now we're just in a place where it's all about proving legacy and proving value and saying how great what we did is. And, you know, I told him earlier, like, a part of me, like, hurts inside when I watch the world go, Dilla's the greatest. But when he was there, nobody said a thing. You know, we just treated him like, well, what? How many did you sell? Did you have any number ones? Did you that? Did you that? Did you this? And it just made me go, yeah, just stick your course. Stay to your course. Let everybody talk about whatever they want to talk about. And that's why I don't kind of like to talk a lot, because it's a lot of talking. And I just want to hear some good music, live a good life, maybe get something from it, maybe not, maybe just enjoy it. And that's my most exciting feeling I got out of this process. Is because every time I work with people, sometimes it's so much about what it's going to do versus what is it. And I appreciate what it is, sir. It's something we did. It's great.
Wow, that was fantastic. Because, like, as you said, a lot of the stuff that stands the test of time is not what sells the most. So do you think that it's harder? Okay, since you have experience in 92, and here we are in 2025, there's tons of, and it's so much easier now to write, record music. And I feel like a lot of people, most people, they don't spend a lot of time listening to it, so the artists don't spend a lot of time making it, in most cases, because it's just how much can we throw out, and how can we game the streamings, the DSPs and whatnot. And just because we have all that technology doesn't necessarily make it easier. I think it's easier to put out music, but it's harder to get discovered now, even with everything. So do you think the game was more challenging? Is it more challenging now or in 92?
Now, by far. Because it's for a reason you don't think. Pre-2010, everybody didn't have every song that was ever created, right? So imagine as a 15-year-old who only knows having every song. So why do I need a new song? I could just go, I had to go buy records just to know what had happened. Now, it's like, here it is, everything. I could spend my whole life going through this, just listening to see what already happened. So that's a little more difficult to think we just gonna make something more interesting than Prince and Michael Jackson and Bob Marley and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, right? That's a little with computers by ourselves in rooms. When people have real educations and real studios and real instruments and people who play for 50 years, one instrument playing bass, and he's like, I'm the bass player today. You can't. How? Right? So I think it's way more difficult now because we don't even have the information from the greats that we have written off because they're not in the algorithm. But they're here, and I run into them all the time, and I go, hey, man, come on, man. Hey, man, you don't want to mess with me, man. Nobody care about me no more. But we love those records. So I just think it's tougher now. It was easier for us because all we had to do was just work hard. Now you can work hard. That don't mean nothing. It just be nothing. You're just working hard. Telling everybody you do music and you're just working hard. I was like, no, you got to know the algorithm. You got to know the time to post. You got to know. You got to. Then it's got to be something viral, and then something, and then you got to get the marketing, and you got to do the ads, and you got to. That's
you got to get a rhythm of posts. You got to post 3 times a day.
I don't wish this on nobody. I'm sorry. I got to go through this.
Do you have any thoughts
What's your
on that?
thought?
Yeah.
If it was harder in '92
Okay,
versus
hold on. But we can't say, was it harder in 2012, 13, or now?
Okay.
We can take it back to the blog era.
Yeah. Let's
We got
take
any
it back. Blog
kids in
era.
here?
Okay. So in my mind, like I feel like our kind of class was like the last blog era. Like we kind of caught the tail end.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys closed it out.
you know, I would say because there was a community, like even just Fake Should Drive Alone, like there was a community, there was a following, there's comments on the post. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people who check this every day to get a sense of what happened in Chicago, what new music just happened. It's people who check it every day. I don't know where the online communities kind of have shifted and gotten so massive now where it's like everybody's yelling into a void, pay attention to me. It's like the attention wars, you know? So I would say, I don't know if it's like, and part of it is just perspective where I don't want to admit anything being difficult. But bless you. That shit was way easier. Cause it was like once I got posted to his website, I'm like, oh, we locked in. He gonna post my next thing that I do. It's like a place where it's like, okay, there's a flag up here. Okay, now I have to go somewhere else and put a flag. And it's like you can kind of keep track of what you're actually doing. There were benefits to that. There was obviously the communities that were those websites, but then they also translated to real life interaction. You used to throw shows. We would throw shows. There was the physical.
It was an actual
aspect,
community.
So I think, and not that those don't exist now, but I think it's like I think I see a lot of people calling out for it, and they're just not even aware that it exists. It's like, how dope would it be if we had something like that, and then it's really the next post in the algorithm, but they just didn't see it.
They just didn't, and they're not going right.
So yeah, I would say the same thing he said, except 2014 maybe, and not 92.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back to the album. I think the features are really intentional. Even the samples are really intentional. I gotta ask, how did you clear that Janet Jackson sample for breakdown? I know that couldn't have been easy.
Everything.
Or was it easy?
Everything is easy, man. Okay. Really, we tried to approach that from every angle we could. The one that I think ended up having the most legwork on it was I went to NAM. Do y'all know NAM? I don't know what the letter stands for, but music is one of the letters.
Arts, probably, maybe.
National Music Convention. It's a convention in Anaheim at the Anaheim Convention Center where all of the people who make these keyboards and microphones and speakers and all the people who make the equipment that we use, they go there and they show us the new shit. They like, this is what we're working on for 2027. Now your mic has hydraulics. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like all type of, it's like, so I really like equipment. So I usually go, pretty much since I've been in LA, I've been going pretty much every year. So I was already.
Did you pick it up from him because he had so much equipment? No, or you already equipment geek before that?
I was, yeah. I had a collection going into building our relationship, but it's since grown substantially. But going to this convention, I seen on Instagram that Jimmy Jam, who was one of the producers of the Janet record that we sampled, was going to be at the Akai stage, which they make the MPC, which is a piece of equipment that I was already going to be there, basically. And I'm like, oh, look at that. It's like God want me to clear this. So I just walked backstage. Okay, one thing, my dad, like how he told you my dad was making music in the 90s with him. My dad is a musician. My dad, when I used to be like walking around him while he was doing his shows, I'm probably like 15, and we would be in bars and stuff, and he would just be like, look, when we get to the door, I'm not about to stop tell them I'm your daddy and nothing like that. Like, chin up, look confident, and just walk there like you belong. So I just walked backstage like Jimmy Jam, he had on, you know what I'm saying, the Jimmy Jam fit. He was very easy to spot. I'm like, you, sir. And
Definitely
I just,
not hiding.
Yeah, he wasn't hiding. And I just, you know, I gave him a rundown of what my current situation is. Hey, man, I'm working with No ID. I'm like, does that ring a bell, please? Like, and he's like, oh, Dion, yeah, I know him. Have him give me a call. So I lean to the side. I call him. Hey, you got his number? No, you don't have his number? Okay, wait, hold on. Hey, sir, I don't I don't want to be that guy, but can I give you his number? No. Can I? All right. How about this? Can we get on a group text? Like, I don't want to ask Jimmy Jam for his number. I'm a stranger. He don't know me from a can of paint. But he was cool, man. I kind of had to lean over, like, let me give you his number and you just text him. So I leaned over. He sent the text. I'm like, okay, cool. My job.
You didn't walk away until he sent the text.
I couldn't.
It wouldn't happen.
In my mind, everything that I just worked for the last 3 years to complete this album is riding on this moment. Like, I'm living in it. I'm like, okay, if I want my album to come out, he has to send this text message. Hey, sir, I'm going to need you to press.
Okay, it went through.
Yeah. Once it went through, I was good. You know, now we can look at the NPCs.
And that's how sometimes things happen in this business.
Hey, man, God did.
That's what happened when you leave the house.
Yeah.
And the computer. And
That's
the
important.
internet.
That real life.
Yeah,
It's important.
absolutely.
So how did you guys decide on the various features on the project? Getting back into that because they're very this curated so well. You know, how did you say? All right, I got to put Kelly Rowland on this. Like, what? Come on, man.
What's crazy?
It's crazy.
I feel like the features. Okay, this is my version of what happened. He has his artists. I got my artists. You know what I'm saying? We got Pivot Gang. He got his people. I got my people. We put all of those people on the album. And based on where we recording the album at, there's room for magic. There's room for happenstance. There's room for, oh, Kelly's next door. Oh, Raphael's next door. Oh, this, you know, it's like, it's out of my hands at that point. I'm like, yeah.
That's about 90%, right?
You said what?
90%.
Yeah. Hey, you take it from there, man. Lob.
Some of those people just coming by. Like, I call Raphael. We right next door to each other in the same building. I call him the bro man from the 6th floor. Was it the 5th floor?
Yeah, it was 5. But
5th? Yeah, 5th with a 4. Because he just strolls in the room sometimes, and I just go, pick up a guitar or bass or something. Let's make something today. And I stroll in his room. So that's just a normal. And Kelly, we was just working on some stuff, and she just comes. I was like, just come on by. I know that, it's alchemy. You just put people in rooms, and you just see what connects and what doesn't connect. So some of the stuff I already knew. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell her to come by. He's not gonna know. She's not gonna know. She's gonna hear the song, and because even I give you an example, that song "Crash." I was working with Greg Finnegains once again. That's my unk, and
That's your OG.
That's my OG. I was trying to make him young about unking him because he a triple OG actually. I just had him come over one day and he's just playing. He's like playing on my roads, complaining like, "This roads is man, this ain't even the right roads, man. You gotta, I'm learning. I'm taking notes." But he just plays all that music. I record it. And I was like, "Don't worry, that'll be a song." And then I played him something of it one day, and he gets interested in it. And then Raphael walks in, and he's like, "Who played that?" Greg. He's like, he gets the bass. Then he hears like, he writes the song. He's singing the hook part, and we like, man, I'm like, "You really want to sing that part?" Kelly. She needs to come see me. Kelly, come on by. What is that? Oh, that's him? Oh. Hey, I was thinking, hey, I really want to be on the record. Good. Let's talk about it. So every piece was just, it wasn't like she's the perfect person for this. It was she's in 5 minutes away. He's right there, and sending people music, asking them to get on it is probably the worst feeling in the world. But just bringing people in the room, you'll know when they go like, it's just like an energy. You go like, "You like that?" "Yeah, I like that."
Put it up.
"Hey, pull it up. You want to just sing it?" "Yeah." "Okay, let's do it." So that's what I meant by I believe in alchemy. Like, you put enough good, he would bring people by, and I'd be like, "Yeah." Then he brought somebody by, and I was like, "No." But we made music, and and that's just what it's about too. It's going back to the thing of community. We're here talking because it's a Grammy community. Somebody made this stage. Somebody took the time to do these things for us to be able to talk about these things. And hopefully some of the stuff we say resonates. And some of it you might go, "But what's your TikTok name?" You know what I mean? But none of it's wrong. It's just what community does. It just goes in and out and in. We need each other. All of us need each other to make this thing work. So, it's on us to go the extra mile if we want it to be art. I'm fighting for photography because I feel like we don't look at it as art anymore. It's just content. We just carry a phone. We don't need a camera. But camera's intentional. Studios and music is intentional. It has intention. It has purpose. And, we won't even think right if we don't keep those things going, especially with AI. ChatGPT will tell us our intentions. Tell us what songs are good. Tell us what the words should be. I'm unk there. I'm sorry. I'll pass.
All right. So before we get into Q&A, I know I got to wrap it up here soon. I just want to ask, is the door open for a part 2?
Oh, record?
The second edition.
He's the boss. See how I did that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. No, that door is closed, sir.
Oh.
That door.
Was that the dumbest question ever? I'm sorry.
No. We got we got some more. How you would word it? Like we got some breakfast to finish. You know, we got songs that need to get. You know, but I never really been a part two for a project kind of person. None of my albums have bucket list two, care for me too. You know, from the private collection of Saba and No ID too.
Well, if it did happen, it would be something else.
It would
The
be something
public
else.
collection.
The public collection.
We got the title. Tweet it. Put a release date. Put a release date on it.
Date.
All right. Well,
EP.
thanks, guys. All right. Does anybody have any questions out there? All right. We got three right here.
With this album came West Side Bound 4. What was the decision to skip Few Good Things and Care for Me is West Side Bound? And should we expect West Side Bound 5 in the next project?
Okay. Honestly, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I thought you didn't do follow-ups, man.
I don't like okay.
Okay. You just debunked
Okay.
the whole thing.
I fuck with that. I fuck with that too. Okay. So I made sure when I was answering that question that I said for my projects. You know what I'm saying? It might have just sounded like words, but I did mean that. For songs, I love a part two. For song, okay, so West Side Bound was a series that for me was done. It was complete. I didn't plan on ever opening that back up. West Side Bound 3, I'm like, it was just so goated in my personal, you know what I'm saying, in my life. Like, I'm like, the stages that we've performed it on, that's the song. First of all, my brother made the West Side Bound 3 and then featured on it, Joseph Chilliams. And yeah, shout out to Joe. But it was just like, once we did it, I'm like, yep, put that motherfucker in the rafters. It's done. It's over with. So Care for Me was not thinking about that. Also, that album does not lend itself to that. A Few Good Things, similarly, was not thinking about that shit. West Side Bound 4 is actually the last song that got worked on for this album also. Because I was listening to this album, like, man, it feels like I'm listening to the album I be walking my dog, and I just be listening to music that I'm working on. And I was listening to the private collection prior to West Side Bound 4, and I'm listening for the stories that I'm telling. And I'm like, man, it feels like a great portion of my context is missing. And I think that's kind of what I view, like, the albums can provide context. Like, it's like I'm saying how I feel on all of these songs, but why do you feel that way? What is it that gave you that? And I'm like, okay, well, there's some important information. For instance, I'm from a long line of musicians from the west side of Chicago. Like, so to me, it was like champion, like to champion my upbringing, my musical heritage. I got a lot of people in my family who did music. I'm not the only person, bless you. I'm not the only person who did music by any means. But it just felt like so much of my inspiration to do music was seeing it when I was young. I watched my granddad play guitar. I watched my dad do shows. I watched my uncle make beats. I used to have to steal one of my cousin's album because your cousin cussing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so grandma didn't want me to hear that. But I'm like, nah, he hard though, grandma. Like, you don't even understand. Like, so for me, it was a way to celebrate my family. And yeah, it just, I had that epiphany on that dog walk. Like, I gotta bring West Side Bound. And plus, the music was already there. That beat, we had been working like a few different versions of that. The second half wasn't, though. The second half samples one of my grandparents' songs.
No, but the drums.
The drums was from the OG private collection. All of like, one thing that I learned doing this project also is all of the attempts, the songs that don't work, the verses that you didn't think you would use, all of it's information and can be sourced and used and flipped and It's like if you work every day on your music, something gonna be salvageable. Something's gonna be the perfect. Like you're gonna be. Maybe it's not the time for that record right now, but it might be 3 months, and you might be like, I know what this needs. That hi hat from track 3 from 8 studio sessions ago that we never thought we would. Like, yeah.
Right here.
Before I ask my question, I just want to say thank you guys for coming out and doing this. You know, it's a blessing to be able to be in this room. And before I ask my question as well, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer. I actually brought 2 USBs for you guys with some beats on it. If it's all right with you, I'd love to give it to you guys. If not, that's all right as well.
No, it's okay.
Yeah?
That wasn't a question.
That wasn't the question. Not right now. Not right now. Not right now.
Okay, all right. My question is, if you were to have to start from scratch, from ground zero, with the knowledge you currently have, what would be the first few steps you would have to take to get back to where you are today?
I don't think it's no path that I like. If I knew what I know now, I don't think it's no path that gets me exactly where I'm at. Because so much of it was because I didn't know. So you make the decision that feels the best. And it's not based on knowing anything. It's just based on, well, this shit made me feel better than how this one made me feel. So let's do this. Fuck it. And just see what result it produces. And that's how I've been making a lot of, I'm not gonna lie, I be making really important business decisions like that. Like just, I don't really like how that feels. So let's do this instead. I know it's substantially less money, Christella. I promise I know that. But look, you know.
Doesn't feel right.
Doesn't feel right. Yeah, I don't know. Fortunately, is that even a thing? That's not a thing. That's very hypothetical.
Very.
Yeah.
I would probably, okay, imagine this. Way back in those days, we used to have vinyl collections. Now, the interesting thing about vinyl collections is it was the music you wanted to listen to in a curated manner, but it was also like taste. You show it off, like, look what I got. You're not me. I got that. You don't have that. You don't even know about that. So it was just as much an expression of who you were more than was just something to listen to. And I think the internet and the structure of streaming takes that away, right? Because there is no, playlist is not enough for us to own curation in a manner that speaks to who we are. So the first thing I would probably do is find a way to put all my music in a curated space that kind of makes a thesis about how I feel about music, what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to achieve, versus just dumping it on the internet hoping I can get some money, or, you know, giving beats away and making, you know, it's really, I always say this to people that I work with and represent. I go, hey, you want to get in a room with the people you want to work with. Why would anyone let you in the room? You know, who are you when millions of people want to be in these rooms, right? So you have to establish who you are. Because if any one of you out here had a recording deal, how many strangers would you let in the room? That many, right? You'd have to hear something to make them, or read something, or hear a beat and go, who did that? What's going on? So how do we present that going forward? That's the problem. We don't really know how we're going to present it. There used to be blogs. There was just some systems of curation. There used to be record stores. Record stores used to go through all the records that was coming out and pick what they were going to put in the store, and at the front, and in the glass, and in the back, right? So the curator had to have taste. You don't go, I'm not going to that store. They don't have taste. I'm going to that store. He has the good stuff. I don't have to look for it. And I think that if I was new right now, that's what I would be doing. You know, a lot of people use a lot of cliche words of brand and overused terminology, but I'm saying curation of taste, point of view, perspective. There needs to be a better way for individuals to present who they are and why they make what they make. And that's what I would focus on if I was 16 years old right now. I would be desperately trying to figure out how to make people know. And I know what I know now? Absolutely. I would be trying to figure out. No different than I'm taking photos and going to figure out how to make people care about them. So that means I got to print some. I got to have a gallery. And I have to do something at the gallery that people want to come see. And then they see the photos and they go, who took those photos? I did. Okay. Why have I never seen? And that's what we all have to do this. I don't care what you do. If you're a chef, it's the same thing. If you're a farmer, it's the same thing. Why your apples? Why your rice? We gotta do a better job at this because it's information is flying. The information is flying, and we're thumbing our way through life, and we think the answer is there. It may not be there. It may be in a room, and it may be a small group of people first, and then it may grow, and they may tell people about it because word of mouth does still exist, even past the algorithm. And we know that. We know, but it's a big risk.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap up. But fortunately, on the other hand, fortunately, we're going to have a performance. So please stick around. We're going to switch the stage very briefly. Saba's going to perform. So thank you guys for coming out. Thanks for sitting through the Q&A. Hope it was exciting and fun and informative. Thank you guys for doing this. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Howard.
Happy to have another one done. All right, thanks, guys. We'll be right back.